Welcome back. You're watching our special discussion as we decode the BJP's manifesto. Piyush Goyal, coming back to you, you have in your manifesto talked about simplifying the tax regime, of presenting a non-adversarial, more conducive tax environment. Some would have thought that if you had made a signal towards actually bringing in any kind of amendments to address or course correct the retrospective tax issue, that would have been a huge positive, a huge signal, especially as far as investors are concerned. Are you considering to move down that road if the BJP were to be voted to power? Is that a consideration at all? Why have you fallen short of that in your manifesto?
Reena, I'll answer that, but I just want to correct the perspective that some of your panelists had. One of your panelists was very liberally criticizing the manifesto on the power sector. I suspect he was not able to understand the enormity of what we have said on energy security, particularly in terms of the role of renewable energy, particularly in terms of the role of enhancing the coal supply, so that the 70,000 megawatt of power plants which are starved of adequate coal would come into production and meet the power needs of India, particularly in regard to the exploration of oil, gas requirements, which will help us to meet the gas requirements of the country. So I think there's a lot said in this, and of course Mr. Modi has a track record of what he did in Gujarat, where production or generation of electricity trebled, where power cost did not increase in the last 12 years very significantly, where you have 24/7 power for all, which is a commitment in the manifesto if somebody would have read it carefully, and the fact that Mr. Modi was able to curtail power theft, Mr. Modi was able to send separate distribution lines to different users.
We are aware of the state of power in Gujarat, sir.
And the fact that his utilities have converted from a loss of 2,500 crores to a profit today. As regards the 100 new cities, 1 minute.
I take your point on board, Mr. Goyal. I'll come back to those issues.
May I come in, Shri?
Just 1 second. I'll get
Vinay. Agenda. We know exactly how we are going to create new satellite towns and twin cities. We know exactly the needs of urbanization in India, which needs to go back to the drawing board and create new cities. And I don't think it is, as one of your panelists said, difficult or impossible or not even worth discussing. I am willing to engage in any discussion on how that is a doable, practical agenda. As regards
all right, Piyush Goyal, that was a very clever pele pass on my question as far as retrospective tax goes. I'll come back to that in just a second. I'll come back to that in just a second. But let Vinay Chatterjee respond to what you've just said. Vinay, go ahead.
Two quick responses. One is, this discussion is about the BJP manifesto. It is not about the power sector in Gujarat. The second point is that I have very carefully read that very short paragraph on power. It is full of motherhood statements of renewable and make everything available. Very short on any practical idea, and it seeks an escape route by saying we will have a new energy policy. I rest my case.
All right.
Yeah, I would like to add that Mr. Modi does not need long paragraphs or long pages. It's his track record which the people have seen.
Mr. Modi may not need it, sir. Mr. Modi may not need it, but the manifesto is supposed to articulate your intent.
I think it's the outcome which matters, not the number of lines that are used in the manifesto.
All right, Piyush Goyal, now answer my question as far as retrospective tax is concerned and whether or not the BJP is going to move forward to course correct in any fashion.
Well, I'm sure the new finance minister of the government, which will be sworn in May, will be seized of this problem. We will need to have adequate data. In fact, in the Standing Committee of Finance, we kept arguing the case to get more data and understand what the government hoped to do by this extremely abhorrible step that this Congress government had done. They have actually killed the investment climate in India with
we know that, sir. That's exactly the point. The case for why it is bad has been made several times over, including by you. You call it tax terrorism. I'm asking you a simple question. If the BJP were to come to power, will you do anything to course correct that, sir?
Well, I'm sure we'll have to leave it to the new finance minister to study what this government has done and find a solution to all the mess that they have left behind. not only in retrospective taxation, but the way they have messed around with transfer pricing, the way they have harassed taxpayers, both international and Indian, in the last 10 years, the way they have created a whole set of judicial complicated cases which has disincentivized investors, both domestic and foreign.
That's
I think the new finance minister will have to take a comprehensive view and find
another effective Pele pass there, Piyush Goyal. Salman Soz, I know you've been waiting. I don't want this to become a political tutu meme between you and Piyush Goyal, but very quickly, go ahead with your first thoughts.
Thank you, Shireen. First of all, congratulations for putting together such an eminent panel, but you needn't have, because frankly the BJP and Mr. Modi have not really taken this manifesto exercise very seriously. It just shows by putting together a PowerPoint presentation and delivering it on the day of the election when people had already started voting. So it's a very disappointing thing, by the way. I really suspect that this whole thing, this presentation, was put together in the last 10 days or so. It is devoid of any specifics. It is pretty much a copy-paste job from the Congress party. I mean, if you look at the content, and it is necessarily so, they have to follow the UPA's policies largely because there is no real path besides that for this country. Now, I do, one of your speakers said, one of your panelists said correctly, there's a lot of English in here. P. Now we're going to have a people, public, private partnership. I've worked on these things. There's public-private partnership. You can have as many people as you want, but that's what it is. Urban, rural, and urban, we're already seeing that kind of transformation in this country. We talked about how, in our manifesto, if you remember, we talked about 100
so you're
urban
saying,
clusters, the need for urban governance.
Effectively, you're saying if you remove the BJP logo. Yes, go ahead.
No, just Shireen, yes. No, look, I mean, by the way, you know how big BJP's presence is on social media, and yet copycat manifestos are actually trending above BJP manifesto. The reason is people at large are saying that this is the copycat manifesto. But forget all that. Having a presentation, Mr. Modi may not really need more than 4 lines on the energy sector, but the people of India deserve to know in greater detail as to what this party wants to do. I've been working, and Piyush is a very senior person. I've been in debates with him. I've been following the BJP's progress very closely, and I thought once the manifesto comes out, we'll know a lot more. There is nothing in this manifesto in terms of detail of how they're going to do what they're going to do. We know what they're going to do. They're broad principles. But if you look at the Congress's,
so your point is that it's short on the how-to. Your point is that it's short on the how-to.
No, and look at retroactive taxation. By the way, the Congress has recognized what has happened, and we have put in this clause specifically in our manifesto. And by the way, this whole issue of we look into FDI multi-brand retail, FDI and multi-brand retail, and we'll reverse that policy because nothing has happened so far. It is going to be very dangerous. It's creating a lot of uncertainty in investors. And then they talk about investor sentiment. I'm sorry, I think that is totally wrong.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point for me to take another quick commercial break. But gentlemen, hang in there. Piyush Goyal, I know you want to get a chance to respond. I'm going to bring you in, but we are going to have to take a quick commercial break here and be right back with you.